Hello, it's Binti here. Today we are Tuesday the 17th of April, the last day to shoot my video for the English oral presentation. And first of all, I'd like to apologize for my dummy face with the mask that I put on because I was terribly ill for the last 2 weeks. So I couldn't do any other way. So I'm sorry for that. For today, I chose to work on Nathaniel Hawthorne's short story entitled Young Goodman Brown. This short story was written by Nathaniel Hawthorne, an American writer, novelist, and short story writer. He was born on the 3rd July 1804 in Salem Village in Massachusetts State, and he died in 1864. So he uses lots of allegories, symbolisms in his works. His life was steeped in the Puritan legacy. He was brought up in the Puritan legacy during the 17th century, at that time of Puritan New England. He has an early ancestor named William Hawthorne, who first emigrated from England to America in 1630 and settled in Salem, Massachusetts, where he became a judge known for his harsh sentencing. William's son, John Hawthorne, who is supposed to be Nathaniel Hawthorne's father, if I'm not wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. He was one of the 3 judges during the Salem witch trials in 1619s. Nathaniel later added a W to his name to distance himself from the side of the family. So, as I said, the story was published in 1835. Did I say it before? I'm not that sure. I don't know. Whatever. Let's move on. The story opens up with an eponymous character named Young Goodman Brown, who says goodbye to his wife to go for errands in the dark forest of Salem Village. His spouse name is Faith. Faith is the symbol of purity, virtue, because she wears pink ribbons in her cap in the story. She is even described as someone who fears the devil's temptation. When she is by herself, she fears the devil's temptation when she is by herself. That's why she insists on telling her husband to stay with her, along her side, to not leave the house, and to stay by her side. But he tells her that he has to leave, and so he reminds her to say her prayers and to go to bed earlier, to not be in order to not be tempted by the devil. He makes her understand that if she doesn't do so, she will come to no harm. Nothing will happen to her. Yeah. So Goodman Brown sets off a road through the gloomy forest, the dark forest of Salem village, all looking around him, afraid of what might come across his way. Behind each tree, thinking that there might be Indians or the devil himself looking there. Looking at him. He soon comes upon a man in the road who greets him as though he had been expecting him. And this man is dressed in formal clothing and looks exactly to him. He looks actually normal, except except that stuff that he carries in his hands. It looks like a walking stick. No, I think, yeah, it's a kind of staff. It is a staff. This walking stick features a carved snake, which is actually living, as it seems to move, The man gives to Goodman Brown the staff, saying that it might help him walk faster. But Goodman Brown refuses. So, from now, I will call him JB to shorten the name, but because it's too long for me to pronounce it. So, JB tells the man that his family members have been Christians and good people for generations in plural, and that he feels ashamed to be associated to a person of this kind. He feels ashamed to be associated with a devil, with a stinks wherever. He refuses to associate with him. So he refuses to associate with him. The man replies that he knew Goodman Brown's father and grandfather, as well as the other members of his family, the members of churches in New England, and even the governor of the state. Isn't that incredible? The man knows him better than himself. Wow. The man's words confuse JB, who says that even if this is so, even if this is the truth, he wants to return to the village for faith's sake, because he fears for faith security. Yeah, he fears for faith security, as she's alone at home. She's lonely at home. At that moment, the two men come upon an old woman hobbling through the woods, and JB recognizes Goody Clothes, who he knows to be a pious, respected woman from the village. He hides, embarrassed to be seen with the man, and he taps Goody Clothes on the shoulder. She identifies him as the devil and reveals herself to be a witch on her way to the devil's evil forest ceremony. Despite this revelation, JB tells the man that he still intends to turn back home for Faith's sake. The man says that JB should rest and should be part of the ceremony. Before disappearing, he gives JB his staff, telling him that he can use it for transport himself to the ceremony if he changes his mind. As he sits and gathers himself, JB hears horses traveling along the road and hides once again. So the sum up is very long, so I wouldn't like to waste my time explaining what the story is about, because it's a job of my classmates to do, to have read the story before I do my presentation. So in my case, for me, I think they have read it and understand it. They have read it and understood it. Yeah. So let's move on to the next slides. Yeah, let's just call it slide. I have not my laptop here. Actually, I've even not a laptop. It is broken, so I'm using my phone to film myself by my own, because I didn't find anyone to do it instead of me, because all my friends went to their parents' place outside of Nantes, so I feel very unlucky. So let's move on. There are several themes tackled, dealt within the story, so I will analyze most of them. So the first one is the weakness of let's start with the first analysis of the text, entitled "The Fall of Man." And when I say man with a capital M, to refer to mankind, to every human being in the world. That is to say, it can be a woman as it can be a man. Actually, it's human being in general. So, why JB? Young Goodman Brown works as an allegory of the fall of man, from which Hawthorne draws to illustrate what he sees as the inherent fallibility and hypocrisy in American religion. Hawthorne sets up a story of a man who is tempted by the devil and succumbs because of his curiosity and the weakness of his faith. Like Eve in the book of Genesis, JB cannot help himself from wanting to know what lies actually behind the mystery of the forest. And like Eve, JB is rewarded for his curiosity with information that changes his life for the worse. Actually, in the course of the ceremony in the forest, the devil tells JB and Faith that their eyes will not be opened to the wickedness of themselves and those around them. Adam and Eve were exiled from the Garden of Eden and forced to undergo all the trials and tribulation of being a human. And they have been taken away from him. He has become suspicious of those around him, even the woman he once loved, I mean his wife, Faith. There are also other themes tackled in the story, such as the weakness of public morality. In young Goodman Brown, Hawthorne reveals what he sees as the corruptibility that results from Puritan society's emphasis on public morality, which often weakens private religious faith. Although Goodman Brown has decided to come into the forest and meet with the devil, he still hides. When he sees Goody Clois and hears the minister and Deacon Goodkin, he seems more concerned with how his faith appears to other people than with the fact that he has decided to meet with the devil. Goodman Brown's religious convictions are rooted in his belief that those around him are also religious. This kind of faith, which depends so much on other people's views, is easily weakened. When Goodman Brown discovers that his grandfather, Goody Clois, the minister, Deacon Goodkin, and Faith, all the townsfolk in whom he has truly trusted in, are all in league with the devil. Goodman Brown quickly decides that he might as well do the same. Hawthorne seems to suggest that the danger of basing a society on moral principles and religious faith lies in the fact that members of the society do not arrive of their own to keep their moral decision, to keep their morality. When they copy the beliefs of the people around them, their faith becomes weaker and weaker and ruthless. Let's move on another theme tackled, talked in the story, and it is about the inevitable loss of innocence. Goodman Brown loses his innocence because of his inherent corruption, corruptibility, which suggests that whether the events in the forest were a dream or reality. The loss of his innocence was inevitable. Instead of being corrupted by some outside force, JB makes a personal choice to go into the forest and meet with the devil. The choice was the true danger, actually, because the devil only facilitates JB's fall. JB is never certain whether the evil events of the night were real but it doesn't matter. if they were a dream, then they came completely from Goodman Brown's heads, minds. It's a clear indication of his inherent dark sides. If they are real, then Goodman Brown has truly seen that everyone around him is corrupted, and he brought this realization upon himself through his excessive curiosity. Goodman Brown's loss of innocence was inevitable, whether the events of the night were real or not. Even we are aware that they might be supernatural. Who knows? Only God knows. The next theme tackled in the story is the fear of the wilderness. From the moment he steps into the forest, Goodman Brown voices his fear of the wilderness, seeing the forest as a place where no good is possible, no good can happen. In this, he echoes the dominant point of view of the 17th century Puritan England, who believed that the wide new world was something to fear and then dominate. J.B., like other Puritans, associates the forest with the wild Indians and sees one hiding behind every tree. He believes that the devil could easily be present in such a place, and he eventually sees the devil himself, just as he had expected. He considers it a matter of family honor, that for pleasure actually he does consider this as a matter of family honor, and he is upset when the devil tells him that this was not the case. He himself is ashamed to be seen walking with the devil. And I just check my notes to not say any rubbish things, any silly things. So as always, I'm sorry. So where I was getting at. So yeah, let's move on. And Goodman Brown hides when Goody Close, the minister, and Deacon Gookin pass. The forest is characterized as devilish, frightening, and dark, and Goodman Brown is comfortable in it only after he has given into evil, after he has been perverted, after his faith was weakened. Yeah. The next theme is about female purity. Female purity is a favorite concept of Americans in the 19th century. It is the steadying force for Goodman Brown, and he wonders either He wonders whether to renounce his religion um, and join the devil. When he takes leave of faith at the beginning of the story, he swears that after this one night of evil doing, he will hold on to her skirts and ascend to heaven. This idea that a man's wife or mother will redeem him and do the work of true religion belief for the whole family was popular during Hawthorne's time. It was from popular belief at that time. Goodman Brown, clings to the idea of faith's purity throughout his trials in the forest, swearing that as long as faith remains holy, he can find it in himself to resist the devil. When he finds that faith is present at the ceremony, it changes all his ideas about what is good or what is bad in the world, taking away his strength and ability to resist. Female purity was such a powerful idea in Puritan New England that a man relied on women's faith to start up their own belief. When even faith's purity dissolves, Goodman Brown loses any chance to resist the devil and redeem his faith. As I said, when I start my oral presentation, I mentioned that Hawthorne loves using allegories, symbols in his work, and here are some of the symbols mentioned, tackled, dealt within the story. The first one is the staff, the walking stick that the devil has in his hands. The devil's staff, which is encircled by a carved serpent, draws from the biblical symbol of the serpent as an evil demon, an evil creature, an evil creature, animal. In the book of Genesis, the serpent tempts Eve to taste the fruit from the forbidden tree, defying God's will and bringing his wrath upon humanity. When the devil tells Goodman Brown to use the staff to travel faster, Goodman Brown, I'm sorry for the noises that surround me. I live in the center, and there are lots of noises, around. So I can't do any other way. Just as always, I'm sorry. So let's continue. Goodman Brown takes him and takes what? Goodman Brown takes him upon the offer, and like Eve, is ultimately condemned for his weakness by losing his innocence. Besides representing Eve's temptation, the serpent represents her curiosity, which leads her into that temptation. Goodman Brown's decision to come into the forest is motivated by curiosity, as was Eve's decision to eat the forbidden fruits. The staff makes clear that the old man is more demon than human, and that Goodman Brown, when he takes the staff for himself, is on the path toward evil as well. And last theme that I found is Faith's, not her theme, symbol, the Faith's pink ribbons. The pink ribbons that Faith puts in her cap represents her purity, her virtue. The color pink is associated with innocence and gaiety, and ribbons themselves are a modest, innocent decoration. Hawthorne mentions Faith's pink ribbons several times at the beginning of the story, imbuing her character with youthfulness, and happiness. He reintroduces the ribbons when Goodman Brown is in the forest, struggling with his doubts about the goodness of the people he knows. When the pink ribbons flutter down from the sky, Goodman Brown perceives it as a sign that Faith has definitely fallen into the realm of the devil. She has shed the sign of her purity and innocence. At the end of the story, when Faith greets Goodman Brown as he returns from the forest, she is wearing her pink ribbons again, suggesting her return to the figure of innocence she presented at the beginning of the story, and casting doubts on the veracity of Goodman Brown's experiences. Yeah, that's all for all the themes, the symbols, the patterns, the allegories that I've found in the story. Now let's move on to the next talking. I found two or three I think quotes that I thought being important to analyze. So let's analyze them. And regarding the time